Past performance may
The
not
story
be
you might
indicative of
expect
future
with a
results. Therefore, no current or prospective client should assume that the future performance of any specific investment strategy, including the investments and/or investment strategies recommended and/or purchased by advisor, or product made reference to directly or indirectly will be profitable. Different types of investment involve varying degrees of risk, and there can be no assurance that any specific investment will either be suitable or profitable for a client's investment portfolio. No client or prospective client should assume that any information presented serves as the receipt of or substitute for personalized investment advice from the advisor or any other investment professional.
Welcome to the Bullington Capital Report, hosted by Bill Bullington. For the next hour, you'll receive information on current market conditions and trends that could affect your financial future. If you have a question, you can participate in today's program by calling 216-901-0945. That's 216-901-0WHK. You can also reach Bill by going to his website, bullingtoncapital.com. And now, here's Bill Bullington.
Well, welcome back. There has been a lot of stuff coming on. Actually, the market's been pretty good the past couple weeks. Yeah, but there's been a lot of material surfacing. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, they feel bad for not having done more in the beginning of the year, but this whole year, the market's been on an upward trend the entire year. But I don't want you to think that the market's doing really, really well over the past 2 years. And why do I not want you to think that way? Well, because it'll be disappointing when you find out that it hasn't done that well. In fact, we are just slightly below the highest levels that it reached in December of 2021. That was 2 years ago. And in the meantime, the stocks have been significantly lower, almost by a third in 2022, one of the worst years we've had in a very long time. And so 2023, it's really been recovery time. And that's assuming that you didn't panic and pull your money out of the stock market, which is probably the worst possible thing you can do. Is try to figure out what you think the market's going to do over the next 12 to 24 months. Nobody that's ever made a significant amount of money has done that. Warren Buffett doesn't do it. I don't know if you remember a guy by the name of Peter Lynch. He's still got the best track record of any mutual fund that was available to the general public. There's some hedge funds that have done as well as Peter Lynch did, but they had a lot of volatility. In fact, Peter Lynch's fund had a lot of volatility, and nobody gets paid significantly without taking a significant amount of risk. At least nobody that I know of. And I've only been doing this for over 30 years. So if you're gonna make a lot of money, you're probably gonna see a lot of fluctuation. It's not that big a deal. I think right now we're in a really good spot. I think the economy is growing. It's unbelievable how fast it's growing, actually, especially with all that's going on in the world. So certain sectors are carrying the other sectors. And heck, who knows? Maybe they'll carry them until the other sectors kick back in. And we won't have a massive recession the way that you hear a lot of people calling for. Could we have a mild one? Yeah, we could have those at any time. And it could be for a lot of different reasons. That's why it's very difficult to predict ahead of time what may or may not happen, because the markets are affected by a lot of other things that are going on in the world. And quite frankly, I thought that the markets, I didn't think they would do as well as they are. With all that's going on, and you've got wars right in the middle of venues that serve for transporting goods from Asia to Europe and Asia to the United States, or Europe to the United States. There's a war right in the middle of all that. And I would have thought that would have had a much bigger impact than what it has had. So there's always something to be thankful for, I'll tell you. sometimes you have to look really hard for it. I don't, I don't disagree with that statement at all. But there are always things to be thankful for. In fact, one of the articles that I sent out this past week, I have uh, a newsletter that you can subscribe to just by going to my website. It's free. It's a service that I pay for. They go out and the service goes out and looks at thousands of financial publications, brings certain articles to my attention. I get to select which articles that I want my clients to see. So I try to do a good job, try to be fair and equal. And these are the ones that caught my attention. So that's why I sent them out. And the first one was Ho Ho Holly, Ho Ho Holy Stress, Holly. Ho Ho Holy Stress, maintaining mental wellness during the holidays, which is a pretty difficult thing to do for an awful lot of people. There are an awful lot of people in this country that live by themselves, people whose families may have all predeceased them. Maybe they were born into a family, they were an only child, and now they're the only ones left in their 50s or 60s, or 70s or 80s, and there's just a lot of that stuff going on. But anyway, I really liked this article, so I'm going to basically read a portion of it to you. And this was written by Lippy Roy. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he's an MD and an MPH. So anyway, the article begins, the winter holidays always seem to be full of positive and cheerful references. Merry Christmas and carols marking this season as the most wonderful time of the year are just a few examples of joyful greetings disseminated around this time. While many people look forward to time off from work and eggnog-filled festivities with family and friends, the sad reality is that it's not the season to be jolly for everyone. The Christmas season can be associated with stress, sadness, loneliness, and other challenges. The National Alliance on Mental Illness found that 64% of individuals living with a mental illness felt that their condition worsened during the holidays. Holiday-related stress is affecting all sectors. According to the American Psychiatric Association, 40% of healthcare workers and 37% of office/administrative workers are anxious about working long hours during the holiday season. Nearly half of all retail service employees report that their stress levels increased during the so-called happiest season of all. And I can attest to that. Going down to my local mall, I spent quite a few hours there yesterday, and actually I got so tired I just sat down and watched for a while. And I'm just thinking to myself, holy cow, why do we put ourselves through this again? Anyway, so the article goes on. We've been socialized to expect good times and cheer from family and social gatherings, described Lloyd Sederer, MD, a psychiatrist and former chief medical officer of New York State's Office of Mental Health. Dr. Sederer, author of Caught in the Crosshairs of American Healthcare, continues. Sadness and anxiety are frequent feelings during the holidays. Running from them will only worsen your distress. Sources of holiday-related emotional upheaval. So, why do so many of us feel the blues during Christmas time? Financial stressors can be a significant strain on individuals. I can attest to that one. The pressure to buy the latest toy or designer scarf can stretch already tightened purse strings. In fact, especially over the last couple of years with the way that the economy's been going. In fact, moms worry more than dads about affording holiday gifts, whereas dads worry more about affording holiday meals. Family time can also be stress time. The anticipation of spending time with a patronizing sister or a racially obtuse uncle can cause a surge in cortisol and other stress hormones. Hosting family and friends can be stressful in other ways. Cleaning the house, cooking large meals, and decorating the tree are all labor-intensive activities. The holidays are also a reminder of who we're missing. Exactly 8 months ago, my beloved dad, my number one fan, died of heart failure at age 89. So the author of this story actually lived through some of this. We loved sitting around the tree, beautifully decorated by my mom, and opening gifts on the morning of December 25th. My dad would beam a huge smile after Santa left him a bottle of Hugo Boss aftershave and a large box of Lindt chocolates. He'd laugh at my brother's gift of $100 worth of lotto tickets, an annual gift that seemed to surprise my dad every year. This will be our first Christmas without the man who emigrated from India to Canada 50 years ago without knowing a soul and helped pay for my U.S. medical school tuition. I know that our family is not alone in struggling with the loss of a loved one this holiday season. Wow, it's another one of those really good stories about people coming into the United States and doing very well. Anyway, he goes on. Of course, we live in a world with other people, many of whom are enduring unimaginable pain and suffering. The reminders are everywhere, including last night's lighting of the iconic Rockefeller Christmas tree, an annual tradition that draws thousands of visitors from around the world. There were hundreds of demonstrators carrying Palestinian flags who tried to push forward towards the tree but were held back by police. The protest continued down 6th Avenue. Right now, world leaders are meeting in Dubai for COP28, the 28th annual United Nations climate meeting, to discuss how to tackle climate-related problems. Global events are intensifying local tension around the workplace water cooler and our family's dining table. There's a harm, or some of the harms on stress and physical and mental health he wants to describe in the next couple of paragraphs. Sorry about that. My mind is actually skipping through. You ever do that? You're actually thinking ahead of where you are by about 30 seconds. I have a really bad tendency to try to do that. But I'm going to stop reading from this. It reminds me of a bad Saturday Night Live skit. But anyway, if you want to see this article, I'd be glad to send it to you. I'd be glad to send you. There's some really good articles that come with the service.
% off your first purchase.
Clients all the time.
We all strive to do our best with the foods we put into our bodies, but let's be honest.
There's another one that says what the Fed rate cuts means for your money mortgages and more. I was going to go through that, but and I'm having trouble even speaking clearly. And it's these glasses. I've got to get new glasses. I scratched the crap out of my glasses, and it's very difficult for me to see right now. So I wish I would have put that in my on my Christmas wish list, but I guess I'll have to go get it myself. Anyway, so I've got lots of articles like this, and they come out. I pick them. They suggest which articles might be good articles to be sending out to my client base. And so I'll pick them and put them in a newsletter, and you can get that newsletter. It's free. It's bullingtoncapital.com, and it's on the Contact Us page. Just right in there, I would like to subscribe to the newsletter, and I will put these and more articles like this on. I'll put them out there, and if you're on the list, you'll be getting them. And it's a really nice service. I really like the service that I'm able to select these articles from. So, again, just go to bullingtoncapital.com, fill out the Contact Us page, and we will add you to that. I did want to talk a little bit about the stock market today, and we'll talk about it quite a bit. When I talk about the stock market, the thing that most people refer to is the S&P 500. The S&P 500 makes up a large percentage of the stock market, but it's not the stock market per se. The top 50 stocks make up over half of the value of that fund. It is a large company, momentum-based index. When I say momentum-based, that's a lot of people don't know what we're talking about. What I'm talking about. Capitalization refers to the value of all the stock outstanding on a company, most of the time, 99% of the time. So if a company had 1 billion shares outstanding and it was selling for $100 a share, well, the market capitalization would typically be $100 billion. And what the S&P 500 does is it lines up all the stocks based on the amount of shares they have outstanding multiplied by the share price. We call that market capitalization. And it puts more money into those who make up a bigger piece of the pie. If you were to put all 500 stocks together, added up all the values, notice not the share prices, but all the values of what is that whole entire company selling for today based on the price of the stock that's available to the public and its current share price. So we're going to go with the biggest all the way down to the smallest. If the biggest one, and I forgot which one it is. Well, Apple's in the top 5. So we're going to put more money in Apple than we will on the stock that ranks, 450th. And a lot of people, okay, that makes sense. And yeah, kind of. The problem with that is those indexes have a tendency to get overvalued because they will overweight those top 50 stocks. They put more money in those top 50 stocks, and you probably wouldn't pay as much as those stocks are selling for at certain times, because that can lead to overbuying in those big companies. And so when you hear people talking about the market being overvalued or undervalued, that's what they're talking about. How high is the market's current value relative to the amount of business that those companies are doing? Because the share prices can and do get ahead of themselves. What I'm saying is, and I know a lot of people probably, I've probably lost a lot of listeners there because of the complexity of this stuff. But anyway, it's just a measure of being able to tell whether or not stocks are selling at values that are good or attractive, or maybe they're overpriced. And I've only got about 10 seconds before I got to take a commercial break here. This is Bill Bullington. I'll be right back after these commercial messages. This is WHK 1420.
Some people want diamond rings. Some people want.
Is it finally time to update your bathroom? Bath Planet, a division of Joyce Factory Direct, specializes in replacing and converting old showers and tubs into new, beautiful bathrooms in as little as one day. We have transformed thousands of bathrooms just like yours into a spa-like oasis that has homeowners excited to use their new bathtub or shower. Right now, all bath installations are 50% off. So call to schedule a free consultation with on-the-spot pricing. 440-243-5700 or visit JoyceFactoryDirect.com.
Wallacadoodle, sewer repair. Now, you might be thinking there's nothing wallacadoodle about sewer line problems, and we're with you on that. But if you do need to repair your sewer, there's always a wallacadoodle solution. Most of the time, Wyatt Works can repair your sewer line with an advanced pipelining solution that eliminates the need to dig up your yard. Rather than replacing your clay sewer pipes, we'll line them with a smooth, incredibly durable epoxy, capable of lasting 100 years. The pipelining's completed in about a day with no mess in your yard, and it guarantees no more root intrusion or clogs. It's a permanent solution that works like, well, wallacadoodle. We even warranty it for life, and it comes with guaranteed upfront pricing and easy payment options. Now, most clogs can be fixed with our flat rate drain clearing, but if you called someone else for drain clearing and they want to dig up your yard and spend all week replacing your sewer line, well, call for a second opinion from the Wallacadoodle plumbers at
WyattWorks.com.
Wish there was a place to find good, clean, family-safe entertainment? A place with no violence or profanity? Where you can let the kids roam free? That place is the all-new GodTube.com. Watch inspirational videos that'll challenge and motivate. Catch the latest music videos from Christian artists like Jeremy Camp, Hillsong, and Chris Tomlin. And share a laugh with clean comedians like Tim Hawkins, Anita Renfro, and more. All free, 24/7, right in your own home at the simple touch of a button. Visit the new GodTube.com. That's GodTube.com.
Do you ever find yourself saying, I need a vacation? Vacation Fixation can help. At Vacation Fixation, we specialize in all-inclusive trips and cruises to Mexico, the Caribbean, and Disney vacations. Why choose us? Our clients book through Vacation Fixation because they are frustrated with online trip brokers and timeshare scams. Whether it's a weekend getaway, a family trip, spring break, or honeymoon, Vacation Fixation will personalize a trip just for you. Want to know the hottest destinations in Cancun, Punta Cana, Jamaica, or Puerto Vallarta? Interested in room upgrades, beach reviews, or details about resort restaurants? How about finding a trip with a direct flight? At Vacation Fixation, we take all of your specific travel requests and shop our suppliers to find the best deal. What's the cost? Our suppliers pay us so you don't have to. Call 330-573-8147 for more details. Or you can visit our website at vacationfixation.com or check out the deal of the day on Facebook. Vacation Fixation.
Thinking about updating your home? Well, Joyce Factory Direct specializes in replacing old, outdated windows. Proudly made right here in Cleveland, Joyce Windows features their exclusive Smart Shield high-performance glass, which means you'll be getting the most energy-efficient windows for your home directly from the factory. Customers just love how much warmer their house is and how easy their new windows operate and clean. Right now, you can save 50% on all installations. Just call to schedule a free consultation with on-the-spot pricing, 440-243-5700, or visit JoyceFactoryDirect.com.
And we're back. Hey, this is Bill Bullington right here on 1420. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon. If you have a question for me regarding your own personal situation, you can call me, 330-664-0700, 330-664-0700, or you can go to my website. It's bullingtoncapital.com, and we're going to try to help you out the best we can. If you go to my website and you read about what we do there, well, we help people manage their money, and we try to get to know you really well. That's one of the things that sets us apart. We're going to have a long conversation about the kind of risk that you can take. Most people are really different when it comes to risk tolerance. I have a relatively simple methodology that I like. I've been using it for as long as I can remember. And now I'm seeing that a lot of the big companies in my industry that provide software and support for financial advisors like myself, they're actually using the same questionnaire that I've been using that they've been trying to guilt me out of using. My industry, they'll say, "Oh, if you're not doing this, you're in big trouble." And it goes on. You see ads like that in almost every industry, actually. But now I'm just laughing because they finally realized, yeah, the simple is the better. The more simple, the better. And Occam's razor, the simplest solution is often the best. You've got to, in most things in life, you need to be aware of the facts. Not everything is super simple. It can be broken down and made easier, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, especially when I read the papers or I'm going through news through Google that I've researched. Some people just love to make things more complicated, and I call them the complicators. And I'm really frustrating for them, by the way, because we'll sit down and the complicator comes in and wants to analyze every piece of a portfolio, and I'm just kind of laughing. You can't control very much. You can only control the amount of risk you're taking, and you have to be very, I don't want to say vague, but you've got to have flexibility in the estimates on what you think can happen inside the funds that you're investing in or individual bonds. I'm looking at let's look at the BND. This is the bond fund from from Vanguard. Okay. It's kind of like the S&P of the bond market. And its symbol is BND. And if you look, it actually peaked in August of 2020. And it's down. The price is down. It's been paying the dividends, which I think over that time period it probably averaged about 3.5% a year. But 3.5% a year, it's down 18%. The price is down 18%. And it looks horrible. It looks like the right-hand side of Mount Everest. Or it's very jagged and going down. Okay, so it's down about 18% over that time period in price. You haven't made up by the way, this is one of the better performers in the bond market. So, and a lot of people are questioning right now, well, I really haven't made a whole lot of money in the last 2 to 3 years. Well, yeah, the vast majority of you have 30 to 40% of your money in bonds, and it has not contributed. It's actually been losing money. So this is the first time in 40 years that you've seen anything like this. And Now I know what those guys felt like. And by the way, this was a relatively conservative fund. The fund that I used or you have or am using from its peak from its peak, it's still down 2%, but that's from its peak, the same time that the BND peaked. It's only down 2%, and it's paying over 5 right now. So it's paid a whole lot more than the 2%. I don't have any doubt that that fund is going to make up that 2% at some point in time. Okay. So what would you rather have to make up? 20% or 2%? That's my all I have to say about that. But yeah, aggregate bond index, same thing. BlackRock from the peak. Let's see where it is done. It's down about 17.5%, about 18%, and yeah, it's still paying a dividend. It's not paying quite as much as the one that I'm using. It will never. Well, I don't know. Depends on your life expectancy. Yeah, if you have a really long life expectancy, that fund may catch back up to the one that I'm using. Good luck. And there's a reason that we do things that we're doing. Now, when the stock market takes off, and this is where it gets really tough. When the stock market takes off, people start comparing their balanced accounts to the stock market, and that is that's like comparing two professional sports teams in different sports. It's not the same game. So you've got to really understand what you're doing, and this is just so that you don't feel bad. Now, remember when we were talking at the beginning of the show, I had the article up there, and I was reading from the article that was really talking about psychologically how you feel and when you're investing. Investing's not comfortable. If you're actually really comfortable investing, it's because you're a hardened veteran, the way I am. I never fret about my investments. I know what to expect. Okay? And so when you come in, that's the most difficult part, I think, when people are coming in and they're new. If a lot of people have been working for another company and they've been investing in the 401k for years and years. They're getting ready to roll over a 401k into an IRA so they have more control over it. But they really never paid a whole lot of attention, and they were adding to it the entire time. So when you stop adding to it, and I know if you had $1 million in your 401k, the additional money that you're putting there, it's not a lot. It's not going to significantly impact $1 million balance when you're only allowed to put it, depending on your age, a little over 20,000. I think it's 23, 24 in that neighborhood right now. But that, you're talking about a 2.5% contribution. That's not going to make a big difference when market's going down. So if you had been watching that closely, there's a pretty good chance that you're going to be a little bit upset, unless you know an awful lot about financial markets. And maybe you're getting to a point where when you do know an awful lot about financial markets, that you realize, markets can go down a lot. The mutual funds have a super high correlation with the S&P 500. So if the S&P 500 is dropping, there's a pretty good chance if all your stock funds are dropping too. How do you get away with that? From that? Well, you've got to actually go to other asset classes. Now, we were talking a couple months ago, like, what are the asset classes? Well, the vast majority of people, stocks, bonds, and cash are really the main asset classes. And I know real estate investment trust people out there, no, they got to do it. No, there are real estate investment trusts in the indexes that I'm using, so we're getting exposure to that too, and it's right around where it should be. We're not overweighted in that because you guys are paying out, because you're borrowing money to pay out a dividend that you can't afford to keep paying, and eventually won't matter because you'll get your management fees and you can shut the fund down anyway. I've seen that happen a gazillion times, where people paid out a dividend, but they knew they couldn't keep affording because they were getting management fees and for some other reasons as well. So that's brutal. Those things you want to avoid if at all possible. Part of my job is to look into what they're doing with the money and the investments that we're making, and hopefully your advisor's doing that too, and hopefully they understand because that actually your advisor's under the age of 40. Um, they better really study hard because they don't have any experience yet with that kind of stuff happening. And it will, and if they stay around long enough, they will experience it. Hopefully, they'll listen to shows like mine and learn from our experience instead of having to do it themselves. I'd much rather learn from someone else's experience than have to go through that myself. And one of the things I learned pretty quickly when I got into this industry, and one of the other things I learned is that bonds. Everybody thinks that government bonds are super super safe. Well, it depends. If the bonds are relatively short, what is that? Well, 3 to 5 year maximum. That would be a maximum, and that's actually fairly long. But when you get out into a 10, 20, and 30-year government bond, those prices fluctuate like crazy too. Why? Because if you've got a 20-year bond that's paying 3%, and all of a sudden the new 20-year bonds that they're issuing are paying 4%, who the heck wants your bond? If you're going to try to sell you're going to sell it at a lower price than you paid for it, and sometimes by a lot, especially for a government bond. They're not going to go down 80% or anything like that, but still you'll have a substantial loss in that. How do you avoid that? Well, you stay with shorter-term bonds. You can also use products like annuities, fixed annuities. A fixed annuity, if you had to pull out early, most of them have some sort of a penalty, and people avoid this penalty like the plague. The biggest penalties are typically right around 10%. How much did the bond market drop over the past couple of years? Close to 20? In a period where it really wasn't that bad. So which one would you have been worse off in? And that was a relatively short-term investment-grade bond fund. So that's one of the things. And by the way, you don't have to. If you leave it alone, you don't pay the penalty. And the other thing I like about the product that I'm using is that the longer you let it sit, the higher the guaranteed income goes. And this is the only reason I'm using this particular product, because there's a schedule of guaranteed rates that they will pay. There's a schedule. Let me give you an example. Here's somebody who's going to be 67 next year, wants to supplement their Social Security a little bit. They can put $100,000 in, and they'll guarantee them $7,750 a year for their lifetime. That's pretty good. That's actually higher than the stock market's likely to average over the next 10 years. Let me say that again. Probably higher than the stock market's going to average over the next 10 years. Because that number, by the way, is net. That's what they're going to guarantee to give you for as long as you live, even if you live to 150. And if you happen to get hit by a bus right away, they will actually make sure that your family gets back 100% of the dollars that you put into it. That's a big deal. If you started to withdraw from it, they'll take whatever you put into it minus what you withdrew, and that's what they would guarantee. Okay? So it's a really good idea for an awful lot of people. I know some people hate the idea of having an annuity. Well, I've got them, and I doubt that any of my clients are more sophisticated than I am. Heck, I've held a futures license. I've held options principles license. I've got 8 licenses. I'm one of the few people I know that was dumb enough to sit for all those exams and spend all that time studying. So I think it's a great idea for the right person, the right place. Now, if you've got $100 million, or let's say you have, I don't know, $2 million, and you accumulated $2 million, and you never really, maybe you never made more than $75,000 a year. Okay, and by the way, I had a client like this who passed away. The guy never made a ton of dough, and had an outrageous amount of money. Actually, he had about $5 million. And he was a tailor. The guy was a tailor. He'd never made a ton of money, but he took what he did have and he invested it incredibly well. So generally, when I'm talking about this, a lot of it's personal experience. By the way, he passed away years ago, but was a great experience for me. And he heard me on this show, by the way, and called me. And we got together, and the last few years of his life, we became really good friends. Super nice guy. He was funny, was very stern with his kids. And his kids were grown, and they still came around, and I got to meet all of them. And before he passed away, and it was a fascinating experience. Anyway, this would have been perfect. He had gotten to a point. He was 85 years old. Had gotten to a point where, by the way, they won't issue at age 85 now, so you have to be kind of younger than that. When I met him, he was younger than 85. So we did do something similar to this with the products that were available at that point in time. We were able to put him in an investment that was very aggressive, but had a guarantee on the principal value. And the guarantee would take a look once a year at its anniversary. It would take a look at it, and if the cash balance was higher than what he started with, that was the new guarantee. Okay, that's actually how these work too. But the old ones, there was an opportunity there that the insurance companies didn't see that I did. So funny that they wrote that. I'm surprised they even let me come back because of seeing what they did and putting a whole bunch of people in these products that they ended up having to pay out a lot of money for. So anyway, I got about 30 seconds here before I have to take a quick commercial break. This is Bill Bullington. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon. You can find me by going to my website, bullingtoncapital.com. We come back, we'll talk about how you customize your plan for you. And talk to you in a couple of minutes.
You've heard the saying, all good things come to an end. Well, not always. Sometimes they just take a break. That's what's happening with Our Lady of the Wayside's car donation program after 24 years and 96,000 rides donated. Pretty amazing. Here's the story. The car lot's owners sold the property, making it impossible for car donations to be accepted at this time. According to the Wayside CEO, Terry Davis, the next right steps will be determined and communicated soon, so stay tuned. In the meantime, Terry and the entire team at the Wayside thank you for your continued support of the 450 individuals with developmental disabilities in the Wayside's care. And please take note, you can still support them by making a donation at thewayside.org.
The straight-talking, hard-working, do-it-right plumbers at Wyatt Works will unclog your drain for only $93.
Or it's free.
What's the catch?
There's never a catch with Wyatt Works. I'd rather starve than do business that way.
We really will break up your clog and get your water flowing again for $93.
Plus, we'll send a camera down the line so you can see exactly what you're dealing with.
Most of the time, clog busting's all you need. Wallakadoodle. Back to your regularly scheduled life with a 12-month no-backup guarantee.
If your drain line needs more, we'll explain all the options, including flexible payments and guaranteed estimates.
And on the off chance clog busting can't get your drain flowing, our service call is free.
You'll still get upfront pricing on solutions to your problem, but with no initial service fee. That's on us.
Either we deliver on our promised clog busting, or it's free.
So don't put up with half solutions or slow or clogged drains.
Call Wyatt Works and
consider it done.
License number 30185.
No doubt about it, we're spending more time at home, which is the perfect time to make it more functional and beautiful. Hi, Ed Flash Ferentz here for Artistic Renovations, Northeast Ohio's premier and award-winning remodeler. Artistic did a fantastic job with our kitchen in 2016, and last year, they were back for the master bath. Oh my word. Do yourself a favor and go to artisticreno.com. Believe me, you'll love their ideas and without question the finished product. For a virtual consultation, call 216-520-0838 or visit artisticreno.com.
And we're back. Hey, this is Bill Bullington. I own Bullington Capital Management, and I'm just getting all kinds of bells and whistles coming up. Hey, you can go to my website. It's bullingtoncapital.com. If you'd like to talk, it can be over the phone or in person. It's up to you. Putting together plans for having a comfortable retirement, that's kind of what we like to specialize in. At my firm, I think retirement is like the most important financial objective you could get, being able to retire without having to cut back on your lifestyle or just to have the lifestyle that you would like to have. And I've been doing this for a long time. I can tell you that it's a lot easier than an awful lot of my competition or the people in my industry who aren't competing would like you to believe. And, for some reason, some people just love to complicate things. I just don't get it. I think the simplest solution is typically, oftentimes, it is the best. Now, there are situations where there are no easy solutions. I get it. If you've been married and divorced more than once, you've got children from more than one person, or you're a combined mixed family, that's going to get complicated relatively quickly. And from a mathematical standpoint, there aren't many problems in the planning. The planning problems are generally, what do I want to do? Who do we want to take care of? How well do we want to take care of them? Who gets the biggest percentage of what? Those are difficult issues, but those are not math issues. Those are emotional issues. And oftentimes, that's what holds an awful lot of financial plans back. I've had a couple clients pass away over the past year or so, and the past year, quite frankly. And I've met with them several times and said, hey, you guys, you need a trust. You need to set up a trust. And otherwise, if something were to happen to you, well, of course, they're thinking anything was going to happen, and it did. And it's ongoing. It's really difficult. You make it 10 times harder by putting it off, and you're making it harder on family members, many of which may not even reside in the state. So, very stressful. And I would just really recommend that you sit down. One of the things that we do is we will get you organized so that when you do talk to an attorney, that you're not wasting the attorney's time, you're not wasting your time. And when you're wasting the attorney's time is money. You have to pay for that. So really good idea to get this down, to sit down and talk it over with somebody like ourselves before you actually go in to see your attorney. And oftentimes it can save you a pretty good buck. And we can tell you which questions that you would need to ask. And a lot of it's actually going to depend upon you. What are your wishes? And so anyway, I was just, having gone through this a couple of times, it's like it comes in waves, it seems like. Just got to try to get that planning down as simple as possible. It could be something as simple as a simple will. But, just get in and talk about it. As you're approaching retirement, how much income are you going to need? How are you going to generate that income? If you look at the financial planning college's suggestion that you don't spend more than 4%. Now, that 4%, by the way, is for the first year, and because you're going to have to raise it, to try to keep up with inflation over time, or at least that's the way the model was tested. 4% was the number, but they said, okay, that more often than not, that's going to last for 30 years. Now, I am interpreting this for the general public. That's not exactly how the 4% rule was worded, but in my opinion, that's what they meant. If we start off at 4% and increase it for inflation, how do we get this? What kind of portfolio would last for at least 30 years? So if you're going to take out more than 4%, well, then, there's a pretty good chance, you're kind of rolling the dice a little bit more. You're going to have to take on a little bit more risk in the portfolio. And all that kind of stuff is stuff that, we talk about. That's what our goal, our purpose is. Try to figure out how to get to where you need to be. First of all, right, try to figure out where you need to be. Secondly, how do you get there? What kind of risk are you going to have to take? There's the risk that you'd like to take, and then there's the risk that you have to take. And that can be two different things. And oftentimes people would take the risk that they would like to take, which is generally lower. And you just have to understand that you're probably going to have lower returns if you've got lower risk. And it's one of those things that is fact of life. The higher the return, more often the higher the fluctuation of the portfolios. But it's not all that bad, and especially when you've got these products here. I coming back to my example that I've started 3 times and quit on, just during this show. But to put $100,000, and the reason I use $100,000 is because it's an easy number. And so you're going to retire next year at 67 when you're full Social Security age. Well, that $100,000, the guaranteed income on that right now is $7,750. Okay, that's the guaranteed income level. If you express that as a percentage of $100,000, which you're not supposed to do, technically because you invested 12 months ago and you're waiting 12 months, okay, I get it. But the bottom line is you get $7,750 per $100,000, and that's going to be guaranteed income for the rest of your life. If for some reason, if you got hit by a bus the day after signing the contract and the market had crashed and you were in the index component, don't worry about it. The insurance company is guaranteed to pay back 100% of the premium that you paid. Okay? If you died 3 years from now and the market had crashed, it was down more than you had taken out, they will make up the gap between what you took out and how much it's down by, and they will give that to your beneficiaries. That's a pretty good deal. As far as all-around deals, I like this. Why I talk about it, I like this one better than I like all the other products that are available right now. Again, that doesn't mean that won't change. Just not likely to change quickly, but because I've been monitoring these things now for 10 years. And if you go back to pre-Bullington Capital days, it was a lot more than that. So anyway, that $100,000 gets you $7,750 when you're 67. If you started at 66, you waited till 68, it goes to $8,476. If you waited to 69, it's $9,253. If you wait till 70, so that would be literally 4 years away, that $100,000, they'll guarantee a little over $10,000 a year for as long as you live, even if you live to 150. And they keep track of it. If there's money left in the investment account, that goes to your beneficiaries, not to the insurance company. That's one of the things that makes it a lot different. A lot of annuities that you take that pay out a really high income, you are basically not going to leave anything to a beneficiary. The insurance company would then keep that. Not all of them. And by the way, annuities can get really complicated really quickly, and there are literally thousands of variations on them. So you really need to think about what it is that you need out of your retirement income. And I would then put your beneficiaries' needs probably second. You'd like to take care of them if you can. But and that's a personal decision. That's one of those things where there is no right answer. I'd love to get the maximum amount of income that I can get. Okay, if I'm going to get the maximum income I can get, I'm probably going to be disinheriting, or my beneficiaries are probably going to take a hit on what's left over. Well, what I would like to, in that case, I would like to take the maximum amount that I can get while also providing my beneficiary the maximum amount. All right, that's a different line of products, and we'll go down and look at those. So I'm going to leave that alone. But if you have questions regarding that, you'd like to see what you might be able to do or what kind of retirement income plan we would put together for you. It doesn't take me very long anymore because I've been doing this for 30 years. So I'll ask you a few questions, and I can give you a rough idea. If you decided that you liked it, wanted to learn more about it, and we might work together. Maybe not. No pressure. My voice, the tone is the same as it is now. We're not a low pressure firm. We're a no pressure firm. I want you to do well. And in fact, especially if you like to invest in the stock market, because the better you do, the better I do. And that's how our fee structure is. If we're getting a percentage of the assets, we want those assets to grow. We are on your side. So, and I think that's how it should be. Back when I started Bullington Capital a long time ago, that was not how it was. It just, the industry was a lot different than it is today. Oh, no. I just did I was trying to flag or do a screen. There we go. Oh, no. My screen's not coming up. Oh, that is so funny. There were a lot of, I'll have to put this back together. This is another thing that's really aggravating, by the way. Maybe I'm showing my age here. They keep changing software, and most of the time there's not a whole lot of benefit to it. When you look back at the amount of benefit that you get from changes that companies make in their software, and the reason that they're doing it is to give you, this is a personal opinion, by the way. But my personal opinion is if they make changes to it, you are they tell you it's bigger, better, faster, whatever. But there's improvement. And my experience, my life experience is that maybe 1 out of 4. And that means the other 3 you're doing just to be doing it. And the firm's doing it just to be changing things and, making people think that, oh, this is new, this is better. Well, occasionally, something comes along, and it is. But an awful lot of the time, I'm having difficulty finding the benefit. I'm really having difficulty finding the benefit in this one right now, which really makes me a little bit upset because I use this software a lot, and this is a recent change that I have not had time to go back and adjust for. So I will, and then we'll definitely talk more about stocks going forward. I have this scan that's set up, but this is just right now. It's giving me the best performance of a whole bunch of stocks over the past 6 months. And you know what comes first is Diebold. That is hilarious. And they obviously, I think somebody must have purchased them or bought them out or something, because looking at the charts, that's exactly what it looks like. Now here's one called Moneyline. This one's been coming up for a while. The symbol is ML. I'm not even sure what they do. But this one gapped open on Friday, went way up, turned around, came down, and then closed near the low of the day. Or just off the low of the day. And that's a good symbol because it's still closed higher than it did the day before, but be a little bit wary about that. If I wouldn't just jump right into it. And just because that particular pattern, like here's another one. It gapped open. It jumped up from the closing price. It jumped over some prices. That's called a gap. Went up a little bit, and then turns around, goes down to half the distance of yesterday, which was large, and then reverses to close up about 25% off of the low of the day and the low of the day before it. So when I'm looking at that, there's a lot of activity going on there, and I don't really like what I'm seeing there. Applied Optoelectronics. Now, this one, AAIO, this one looks pretty good. This one looks good from a number of different places, and I think I might buy an out-of-the-money call on this one. First of all, that's a bet. That's not an investment. I want you to get that through your head. When you call crying about it, you're not going to get any sympathy because I was up front. I said, this is a bet. Okay. So this stock is $20.90. That's where it closed yesterday. Symbol is AAOI. And Applied Optoelectronics, and I'm pretty sure they make equipment that goes into semiconductor manufacturing. It's been a long time since I've seen this symbol show up on one of these scans, so I'll double check that. But I'll see. Anyway, it's AAOI, and I think I'm gonna buy some out of the money calls on that on Monday. I only have a few seconds. I know you don't know what any of that stuff means, probably, unless you're super sophisticated, in which case you're probably not listening to my show. No, just kidding. Anyway, I got to run. I hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday Season, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever your holidays are. And I guess I'll be talking to you again next year. This is Bill Bullington right here on 1420. Have a happy holiday season, and we'll talk to you again next Saturday.
You just caught another edition of the Bullington Capital Report, broadcasting every Saturday at 11 a.m. on AM 1420, The Answer. If you have a question and you'd like to speak to Bill personally, you can call him at 330-664-0700. That's 330-664-0700. Or online at bullingtoncapital.com. That's bullingtoncapital.com.
The preceding program has been paid for by Bullington Capital Management, LLC.